Dandavat Prabhu, Dandavat Paramananda Prabhu, Dandavat Abhinava Sundar Prabhu, Dandavat Pandita Didi, Dandavat Chintamani Didi, Hare Krishna. На русском, я на русском начну.
Okay, I will start in Russian.
Таких простых вопросов, практичных, просто...
I've decided to start with some very simple and practical questions.
Ну, я там иногда где-то пропускаю моменты. Ну, у всех, наверное, такое бывает, да?
Sometimes I have
Это у меня, наверное, да. Где-то там
insects
забыл какие-то
are
продукты.
born in my kitchen. Sometimes I forget some old
Я вот начинаю думать,
groceries
она
in the
летает, и
kitchen.
вот как же с ней быть-то?
And I'm just wondering what to do with these insects. This is the same Jiva soul as me.
Раньше, конечно, они
These
мне
are
не
my thoughts.
приходили, но как
Before I
с
had
ними
no
жить,
such
этот
thoughts.
вопрос
But
смотрим,
what to do with
куда
these
их
Jivas
отправить?
when they attack my kitchen?
Какой ваш опыт? Как вы с этим поступаете?
What is your experience? How do you deal with that?
Да.
Practical, simple question.
So we have two very experienced devotees here. Abhinava Sundar Prabhu, who is familiar with the kitchens around the world, and Pandita Didi. So they will be answering that question. And welcome to all the devotees who joined in Dumadi Didi, Raja Krishna Prabhu in Dubala, Savitri, and Jayanti Didi from Brazil. And Udaran Prabhu is already there, hiding in the temple of Sri Chaitanya Saraswati in Navadvip. And of course, Suresh Krishna Prabhu and all the devotees who gathered in Resignate.
Again, Dandavat Prabhu, Suresh Krishna Prabhu, and Dandavat all the devotees. Well, I guess the simplest thing is to not leave your vegetables to rot in the kitchen. This is the simplest solution to this problem. Then, so you're concerned about killing these insects? Is that the problem?
Yes, sometimes accidentally it happens that I kill. I mean, they're so small.
Okay, accidentally. Okay, yeah, no problem. Isn't there's Paramananda will tell us what there's a shloka, something about anything that's smaller than the size of the palm of your hand or something. You know this?
Oh, yeah. Well, I heard about it, but I don't remember the verse.
No, okay. So then there's some reference, right? That anything smaller than your palm of your hand, then there's no karmic reaction from accidentally liberating these souls from their bodies. Not that we should then willfully or recklessly go around swatting flies or mosquitoes. Actually, I remember in Dum Dum Park many years ago, then I was there with Mongol Maharaj, and he's very, very, very super sweet Vaishnava. And I was sitting in his room, and then this mosquito lands on my arm, and I'm squatting the mosquito, you know. And he's just saying, why bother? There's more will come. Don't just, you know, as he was always getting bitten, and he just like gently, he's just rubbing his arms to just like move them away from him, try not to disturb them, but just, you know, gently, okay, try and move them along, but not to show any aggression to them. So Sripad Bhakti Madhur Mongol Maharaj. He is full of sweetness and loving care for all entities. Anyway, these are a couple of things that immediately come to mind. Pandita, do you have some?
Well, firstly, it's really lovely to see you all, especially also in Rezekne, because I know exactly where that is now. And so lovely to see the room there and the lovely devotees, local devotees to Rezekne. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing. I think the first thing that comes to mind is that actually, like, we live in a world of action and reaction. Even just sitting in this room, there's so many living entities that just by breathing I'm affecting. And what to speak of vegetables that I'm picking, or rather buying, you know, there's the cutting of the vegetables that happens, the paving of the road. There's all kinds of things just driving down the road. Maharaj reminds us sometimes there's karma involved. But when things are properly aligned in seva, then all of these things can become harmonized. This is the most wonderful thing about Krishna consciousness, is that it can harmonize anything with the right consciousness, and things that are so bound by action and reaction can actually be relieved because of the proper service mentality. It's all to do with the internal disposition towards one's life in relation to the Lord. And I've seen how you're doing that so nicely. But the second thing that also, so like I feel like even some, you know, some animals that get implicated in the process of serving the Lord actually can be seen as, can be harmonized as all parts of a glorious process of affecting the environment positively. But I'm also reminded of what Srila Madhusudana Maharaj told us when we would stay in Navadip. And he's such a good example of this, but he would always say, please deal with all the residents of the Dham respectfully, including the animals. Because he would say the animals have more right to be there than I do. They're Dhamvasis. And for me to enter that domain, I have to walk on my head, be very careful and respectful of the environment. And so again, it's all about consciousness. If we can start to live like, you know, our house is Gurudev's, the temple is the Dham, our house is the temple, then everything can be so beautifully harmonized. And we will maybe skirt around the animals and find practical solutions to avoid attracting too many of them. Just some reflections.
Actually, that concern expressed by Suresh Krishna Prabhu shows that he has some qualities of the sadhu. Like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Titikshava karunika suhidak sarvadehinam ajata shantava shatrak sadavak sadhabhushana. He's saying that among other qualities, one of the sadhu, saintly personality qualities, is to feel compassion towards all living beings, regardless of their body types and conditions. And so if it's a bird, an insect, an animal, a human being, they're very compassionate to everyone. So this question is very relevant coming from a Vaishnava. But such is the nature of the world. So sometime it happens, but if it happens and you are in the process of service and your mood is correct, you're actually focused on service to Lord Krishna, then those living beings will get liberation. Just like in the ancient time, very qualified brahmanas, rishis, and munis, they would gather together for sacrifices. And sometimes they would sacrifice animal. And in Kali Yuga, it is not recommended to do, just because there is no qualified personalities left. But during the sacrifice, they would ensure that animal will not feel any pain. And more than that, immediately it will be promoted to a higher position. So in a similar way, if our mood is like that, the mood of service, then some benefit will come to those who are accidentally giving up their lives, however insignificant they may sound. Indragopas sometimes. Indragopas means sometimes it refers to an insect, sometimes refers to a bacteria or a virus, and like Pandita just mentioned, we're breeding and we're killing so many living beings. Every step is a massacre, we can say. So, not to forget that. And another thing is, being a Vaishnava, feeling that natural compassion towards all the living beings, Vaishnav sincerely feels repentance in his heart. And in the Shastra, it is said that all the sinful reactions from not premeditated murder to living beings will be burned in the fire of sincere repentance. So that's another thing to consider. And also not to forget about the nature of this world. And it is also described in the Shastra. So whatever we do, whatever we say, we try to refer to the Shastra, Guru Sadhu Shastra. And we hear that verse, Ahastani Sahastanam, Apadani Chatushpadam, Palguni Tatra Mahatam Jiva Jivasya Jivanam. So in this world, one jiva sustains its life on the cost of another jiva. So that's another thing to consider. But the main thing is that you are in a proper mood, and at that time you're actually focusing on service to the Lord, and you feel sincere repentance if someone loses its life in the process. I think that will be a good mood to proceed in the kitchen.
Харе Кришна. Большое спасибо за ответы.
Thank you very much for the answers.
Особенно важно то, что Абхинава Сундар сказал в начале.
And what Abhinava Sundar Prabhu said, what's more important, is that we just don't leave the groceries out to rot. Does anyone have a question?
Да, у меня тогда другой вопрос. Он связан также с
Yes, then I have another
действиями,
question.
которые я совершаю. И как
In connection with the actions
дать себе
I
оценку,
do,
что я не совершаю
how do
служение ради собственного
I make sure that
Потому что я помню
I'm not doing some service for self-gratification? Because I remember Madhusudana Maharaj,
рассказывал, который
he was talking about some sannyasi
сказал Гурудев, что
who
ты всю жизнь вроде как
Gurudev was talking about.
делал это для себя.
You are giving sacrifice to me your whole life, but you're doing it for yourself. So we can, the same way, we can do service externally. But what is that indicator internally that I'm not doing it for myself? I'm doing it for the satisfaction of Guru, not for myself.
So again, microphone goes to Abhinava Sundar Prabhu and then Pandita Devi. And we welcome all the devotees who just joined. Madhuri Leela just joined us from the United States. And servants of nectar, most welcome to join. Also, Lilavati Didi just joined, and Nazar from Ukraine.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is Guru Maharaj saying, sincerity is invincible. So we have to be the gauge of our own sincerity, because we can only fool ourselves. We're only fooling ourselves if we're insincere in the way that we're approaching, then we can fool everybody. But we don't want to be fooling ourselves. So if we're sincere, then we're going to allow ourselves to be adjusted as we go along through our attempt at seva. And seva is a very substantial idea that we're practicing. We're practicing for seva. We're not really engaging in seva, so to speak, really. we're practicing under the shelter of Gurudev and Guru Maharaj, and you know the charges that we have now. You know, where previously Gurudev, everyone would go to Navadip and Gurudev would always say, go see Mahananda, he'll give you some seva. So we're under the shelter of the Vaishnavas and under the shelter of the Vaishnavas who've been directed by Gurudev. Then we are trying to engage in some activities, but we need to be honest with ourselves and understand what does seva actually mean. It's much deeper. We use the word like love, seva. You know, it's very easy to say these words, but it's so much more substantial than we can comprehend. Srila Govinda Maharaj, he's doing seva. Guru Maharaj is doing seva. You know, we're offering our attempt to them to offer to the Lord. It's not that we are doing seva for the Lord. We're doing some practice. We're practicing. We're practitioners. What did Guru Maharaj say? That I consider myself a student, and you, all of you, we're all students. You are all students. We are all students. No one is master. This is Guru Maharaj saying like this. So we need to keep everything in context, and that in itself should keep us within some sort of realm of humility. But still, at the end of the day, we can fool everyone easily. You know, there's so many false gurus. It's very easy. What is it? Again, I think I can't remember which book it's in, but either Gurudev or Guru Maharaj talking about how there's so many gurus and they can come and take the worship and the money from the disciples and then, you know, send them on their way. It's very, very easy. If you want a cheap thing, it's very easy to have a cheap thing. And the cheaters are happy to get the cheap name and fame, and those who are searching for some cheap experience of what it means for spiritual life, then they're also satisfied. Everyone is satisfied, no problem. But we want the real thing, then sacrifice and surrender is imperative, and means sacrifice and surrender under the shelter of someone who has substance, who is connected. So we need that, and again, that comes down to our own sincerity. Who are we searching out, and who are we associating with, and what way are we associating with personalities? Then our sincerity will determine that as well. So, Pandita, do you have something to add?
Well, sincerity is indeed like the first thing that comes to mind. I remember Srila Gurudev being asked in London by someone, what is sincerity? And Gurudev said straight, like, you know what is sincerity. You don't have to have anyone tell you what that means. Only we ourselves can know when we're cheating ourselves and others, or when we're genuine and being truthful about our practice. And that means facing some of the more difficult things maybe, but that's so beautiful and good. It's part of it. And it's so beautiful when we, you know, like you say, Abhinava Sundar, like the practicing life. It means we're practicing, we're trying, and then in my case, sometimes failing, but then trying again and keep going. And that keeping going, I find I can do that when I'm in good association, when I can actually, you know, see that kind of sincerity in my association. It helps me so much. Spending a second with someone who's sincerely trying is invaluable and can really, really strengthen us so much. And I remember always when these questions are asked, and they're such important questions because they reveal a sincerity. But those kinds of questions are always responded to by saying that's exactly the kind of question that you should be asking. Like, am I being sincere? Checking myself, and am I being truthful about my practice? That's the beautiful quality of a devotee, when there's a sincere introspection about where I'm at, how am I doing, how can I improve? But Srila Gurudev in Revealed Truth, he talks about that Saltamami, taking stock, checking in. Actually, we can do that on a daily basis. How did my day go? Where did I fail? How can I improve? And how can I try again better next time, tomorrow? But I would love to also hear your answer, Paramananda Prabhu.
I think you answered beautifully. It's very little to add to that. But Pandita Didi just hinted about how Govinda Maharaj would say quite often that we have this nature to analyze others, what are others doing, and how wrong they are. Naturally, it happens. So how to engage that, what is it, the quality, habit, we can say, that habit, is to analyze ourselves. He said it's actually a very healthy thing, and he recommended all the devotees to think and question yourself. What is my mood? Why am I doing that? Am I actually offering it as a service, or I'm trying to do something to promote myself? Or I'm doing it because, I'm afraid to lose a place in the ashram and prasadam in the morning, day in the evening. So what is your motive? And Govinda Maharaj said, every day we have to, like Pandita just mentioned, ask ourselves, why are we here? And what are our motives and intention? What is our mood? And if we find sincerely, we will approach ourselves. And sincerely, we will give answer to ourselves. And then some correction will come from the environment. If we are sincere, and this is one of the reasons why it is said that sincerity is invincible, then environment will respond in a very positive way. So we have to remember that. And I just remembered, as we were talking about Saraswati Thakur's advice, my advice, the list of things that Saraswati Thakur wanted devotees to remember. And one of them is, those devotees who follow Sri Rupa do not believe in their own strength, and they ascribe all greatness to its origin. So it's a good thing to remember. Who is the fortune maker? Who is our fortune maker? So whatever we do, if we keep that in mind, if we pay in our mind sincerely, pay our obeisances on every step to the Guru, Vaishnava, and in that surrender, try to be in surrendered mood, and in that surrendered mood proceed, then everything will be beautiful. Then that will be counted as a service. And Gurudev also mentioned that a service proper is what is done under the guidance and according to the desire of the Vaishnava or Guru. Not your whimsical decisions. Oh, I would like to do that and I don't like to do that. It may produce some good results, some good karma may come to you, but the result will not be a devotion. But if you follow the instructions of your spiritual master and try to fulfill his desire, what he wants you to do, then the result will be the devotion, even though you may not like what you're doing or you have to force yourself to do that. Anyhow.
Hare Krishna. Спасибо за ответ.
Thank you for the answer. Dear devotees, maybe someone else has a question, something from the heart, maybe they want to share. Maybe with Harun Prabhu, you have some question. You always have some question.
Dandavad. На самом деле,
Dandavad. Well, to be honest, I have no
ощущаю себя
question
квалифицированным, чтобы
because I do
задавать
not consider
вопросы.
myself
Я
qualified
могу
to
лишь
ask
какой-то
questions.
материалистичный вопрос задать, если
I
это
can
прям вот
only ask
требуется.
some
Вот.
materialistic question if
Другого
it is
ничего
needed.
имитировать я, к сожалению, не
I have
могу. Вот.
I
Ничего не
have nothing
поделаешь
to
с этим.
imitate.
Но один вопрос у меня был на
I
самом
cannot
деле.
do anything about it. But I did have one question.
Не так давно,
really.
недели 3 назад, у нашего менеджера на работе, он сам индус
Not
из
too long
Индии,
ago,
и
3
он
weeks ago,
родился, скорее всего, я так
my
понимаю, в браманской
manager at
семье,
work, he's
но
from
как бы
India.
приехал на Запад,
And I think he was born in a
учился в
Brahminical
британской
family, but
школе
he came to the West.
и знает 10 языков.
He
В
studied in
общем,
the
я
school,
решил его поздравить с днем
and he
рождения.
knows
У него был день рождения.
10
И
languages. And
я
I
ему
tried
написал
to,
сообщение,
give him
он такой
something for his
достаточно
birthday.
смиренный.
And I sent him a message.
Вот, и я ему
Quite
как бы написал, говорю, Прабhu, с днем
he's quite
рождения.
humble, but I
Вот.
wrote, "Oh, Prabhu,
И
happy
так далее, и тому
birthday,"
подобное. Вот.
and
И он такой
etc.
мне отвечает, меня Господом
And
еще
he's
никто
answering,
никогда в жизни не называл. Я так подумал,
nobody has ever
ой,
called me
почему же все-таки
master.
Господом? Вот, почему же мы
Why,
все-таки называем
why
как бы
this master or Lord?
мужчин в
Why do
сознании
we
Кришны
call
Прабху, если
the
все-таки,
men in
ну,
Krishna
как-то
consciousness Prabhu?
как-то,
If,
да, для кого-то это может показаться, что
yeah, for
это
some,
означает
it
Господь.
might seem
Вот, это
it
немножко странно,
means,
может
you know,
быть,
Lord or master.
может
It's a
кто-то
little weird.
пояснить этот момент. Харе
Maybe
Кришна,
someone can
Виновата.
clarify this moment. Hare Krishna. Good
Well,
question. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite simple, really, because the Vaishnavas are everything. Everywhere we see, all of the scriptures, our gurus, everywhere we look, this is the most vital point of all, actually. Because Krishna consciousness is not going to be acquired from a number of activities or a space of time that you're going to do certain things or sacrifices. It's a heart-to-heart transaction. It comes from the heart of the Vaishnava and it enters into our heart. Simple as that. So we don't know who is a Vaishnava. So we are respectfully saying Prabhu to everybody because we want the mercy of the Vaishnavas. We don't know who you are, but we want your mercy. This is the safe place to be approaching reality, is to, like Pandita was mentioning before, that realm, you have to walk on your head, you don't walk on your feet. And Guru Maharaj says that the substance of that plane is greater than us. So we cannot, just walk on in, treading all over the place, squashing everything. All these entities that are making up that divine environment. But anyway, the Vaishnavas are the ones who are descending from that plane and giving us some connection. So we are approaching anyone who has some connection with respect. Srila Gurudev mentioned that many times, that he said, I don't know who is a Vaishnava. I'm giving respect to everybody. Gurudev is the master of giving respect to everyone. His the mantra that we all know him for, Trinada Pisanichana. And he is the embodiment of humility, tolerance, giving honor to others, and giving excessive honor to others. And then everyone then has the opportunity of working out their own sincerity when they are getting some glorification from Srila Govinda Maharaj. That's, try that. Better to be chastised, much nicer than get glorified. Very difficult position to be in, the position of being glorified. But yeah, this is important. And okay, then maybe we can be a bit loose with that, and you're telling your boss, oh yeah, Prabhu, and he's a bit weirded out by this, which I guess is, you know, it's not normal practice in
Secular world.
yeah. But this is, I mean, for me, I feel like this is the essence of why we're approaching and calling each other Prabhu, because it's
appropriate.
It's appropriate.
Yeah, it's so lovely, and it reminds me of humility also, that actually everyone is more senior and worshipable than me, you know, when coming to the temple, when coming to an assembly of Vaishnavas, you know, everyone is so special, and we don't know what they carry in their hearts, what kind of divinity is alive within them. And that's to do with their practicing life, but just generally, everyone has the spark of divinity within them that's motivates everything, it animates everything. And so actually from that position, everything can be harmonized. I cannot really show any aggression to anyone, really, if I understand correctly my position in the whole. And these kinds of titles remind us of that. And to always see the positive, like I forget where I heard this or read this, but Srila Guru Maharaj speaks about that there is no place for negativity in Krishna consciousness, in the sense that I can't, like, it's all good. Krishna consciousness is about beauty, love, ecstasy, ananda, joy. And it's all, we like have to remember that on a daily basis. The practicing life can have its challenges, but if we remember what it is that we're doing, why we're doing it, what the ideal is, then that's so helpful and happy.
And we just got a message from Madhuri Lila. If I call everyone Lord, then I cannot forget that I am here to serve. Very good point, actually. And we hear from our Guru Varga that this tradition of calling devotees calling each other Prabhu originates from Srila Saraswati Thakur. And as we heard as well, he was very revolutionary in his approaches to his missionary activities and distribution and presentation of Krishna consciousness. And it was expressed during his Vyasa Puja. And normally, that title is actually reserved for the Lord or your spiritual master, because we're told that we're seeing spiritual master non-different from the Lord. So addressing spiritual master Prabhu was a common thing and a proper thing. But then Saraswati Thakur suddenly addressed all of his disciples assembled, Prabhus, in a mood that all of them, he saw, were sent by his spiritual master, by his Guru Varga, to assist him in the service to the Lord. So he saw them like that. Those who came by their grace to assist him in the service. And as such, he is bowing down to all of his disciples because they're helping him in his service. And we heard some similar expressions from Srila Govinda Maharaj. And really, those are genuine expressions from his heart when he said that actually all of you are liberated souls. You may not understand that, or you may not know about it, but I know. For sure, I know. And the reason is the same, because he saw everyone who is coming to him sincerely as personalities sent to him by his Gurudev to continue with his service. So that's another aspect of that. But yes, beautifully answered by both Abhinava, Sundar, and Pandita.
Pandita wants to say
Well,
something.
something else comes to mind is this truth that actually there can be, you know, there can be practitioners that have been around for decades, right? And then one day someone comes to the temple, and just by their sukriti and their loyam, their hankering to go deeper, they can very quickly advance and, you know, achieve things that practitioners have been trying for decades. And so that's like, all of that is possible. There's so many, the Lord is so magical, and many things are possible, and things can change, and they're very dynamic, and it's alive. And the more that we can become aware of that reality, the beautiful who is dancing, then like the more dynamic and alive the environment becomes with his mercy. I don't know if I'm explaining that nicely, but sort of like anything is possible. Really, the impossible may become possible in Krishna consciousness. So what we're dealing with is like it's actually magic, and like real magic, and and we have to be very careful. We don't know exactly what's happening. At least I have no idea what's going on, to be very honest. But it's sort of like that disposition is kind of also safe, because a lot of grace is flowing.
And Krishna himself said, if you want to find me, there's only one place where I'm fully present, and that is the heart of a devotee. So it is very appropriate to call a devotee Prabhu. And like Madhura Lila Didi said, and it's a good reminder to us that we are the servants.
Если, дорогие преданные, у вас нет вопросов, то я прошу позволить.
Dear devotees, we have no question.
Вчера был
Maybe I can ask.
день ухода Рагунат Даса Госвами, Рагунат
Yesterday was the
Госвами,
discontinuity of
Раскавирада Госвами. Мы сегодня
Bhata
общались,
Goswami and Krishna Das
и я
Kaviraj.
как-то не помню
Today we
личности
were
Рагунат
talking
Бхата
about.
Госвами. Может быть, могли бы рассказать?
I don't remember the personality of Raghunath Das
Как-то
Goswami.
упустил
Could you please
ранее
tell about
описание
his
его личности, Рагунат Бхата
character?
Госвами.
We can describe his personality. Raghunath.
Hari Gopal, something is wrong with your microphone. I understood that the question is about personality of Raghunath Das or Raghunath Bhatta?
Raghunath Bhata Goswami, because I
Raghunath Bhata Goswami. Okay.
And then Paramananda is definitely the person to be giving us some enlightenment about this topic.
I can only repeat what I heard from our Guru Varga, from Srila Guru Maharaj and from Srila Gurudev. And as you all know, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami is counted one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. And he was born, I don't know exactly where he was born, but he was the son of Tapan Mishra, who in the time of Mahaprabhu stayed in Varanasi. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are several passages where their meeting is described. So Mahaprabhu went to Vrindavan, then he stopped in Varanasi, where he stayed in the house of Tapan Mishra. And at that time, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami was a very young boy. And he had some opportunity to serve to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And some very sweet exchanges happened between them. Mahaprabhu was very affectionate to Raghunath Bhatta. And Raghunath Bhatta, young Raghunath that time, he developed very strong attraction to Mahaprabhu. And then Mahaprabhu went on, he went to Vrindavan and so many other things happened. But he was growing up. At that time, maybe he was 5 or 6 during their first meeting. But since Mahaprabhu left the house of Tapan Mishra, the only thing he could think about is how to obtain Mahaprabhu's company again. And when he grew up, maybe he became a teenager, then his parents, they decided, okay, we can send him with some gifts for Mahaprabhu to Puri. And then Raghunath Bhatta Goswami was very happy. So he went there and he met with Mahaprabhu. And he immediately expressed his desire to never leave his company. He said, oh, Prabhu, let me stay here. Let me be forever in your company. Let me serve you. But Mahaprabhu said, it will happen at the right time. But now you have some service duties to your parents. So please, you go back. And when your service duties to your parents finished, then you come here again and we will reunite again. And that happened, so he was sent back to Varanasi, and when Tapan Mishra and his wife left the world, immediately after that, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, he came to see Mahaprabhu in Puri, and he stayed with Mahaprabhu for some time. Then after some time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent him to Vrindavan to join Srila Rupa, Srila Sanatan, Srila Raghunath Das, Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Lokanath Das Goswami was already there. So he was one of the, not as young as Jiva Goswami, but one of the younger Goswamis of Vrindavan. And he was always very meek and humble, but very, very qualified, as you can imagine. And we hear some descriptions that he would be giving talks on Chaitanya, or not on Srimad Bhagavatam and other devotional scriptures, and recite the verses. And everyone who heard those recitations were absolutely captivated. Their hearts were melted. And then they compared. His voice was just like a coquille voice, very sweet and going straight into your heart. And not just beautiful voice, but the devotion, that very substance that he would extract from the scriptures while he is reading the scriptures and reciting the verses would enter the heart of the listener. And even though he was very humble and never desired for many disciples, some very prominent personalities, they became his disciples. At that time, a temple of Govindaji was already established by Srila Rupa Goswami. So perhaps it was one of the first proper temples established by the 6 Goswamis. And Mahaprabhu was still present. So Mahaprabhu took it very seriously, and we heard how he even gave one of his personal servitors in the service to Govindaji in Vrindavan, Kasishwar Pandit. So Mahaprabhu sent him to Vrindavan to be the priest of Govindaji. So Srila Raghunath Das Goswami also felt necessity to contribute something to that important service. And at that time, one of his disciples was a very famous general of the Emperor Akbar the Great. His name was Man Singh. And he came and approached Raghunath Bhatta and he asked, what can I do for you, my Guruji? But Raghunath Bhatta said, there's nothing you can do for me, but there's some service you can do for Govinda. Can you make a temple for Govindaji? That would be very nice. And that would very much please Srila Rupa, Srila Sanatan, Srila Raghunath, Mahaprabhu himself, and all the Parshads. And I will also be pleased with you. And then Maharaja Man Singh, he took it very seriously. And he got the best stone there was available. Very beautiful, dark red sandstone that was only reserved for the king use. But he got permission from Emperor himself, who was very favorable to the Goswamis. And then he constructed a beautiful temple. One of the qualities that we also hear from our Guru Varga, that is ascribed to Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, is that he never saw any fault in any living being, regardless of their body type again. Birds, animals, fish, insects, people. He never saw any faults in anyone. So he would always eagerly worship, not worship, but offer his respects and never ask for any respect to himself. So his bhajan kutir, as we heard from Srila Madhusudan Maharaj recently, and his samadhi is located in a place called the 64 Samadhis. But his bhajan kutir was also nearby Govindaji temple. So this much we heard about Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. And maybe Pandita can add something. Abhinava Sundar.
So beautiful.
Харе Кришна. Спасибо, да, я не помнил этого описания, да,
Thank you.
действительно.
I could
Спасибо.
not remember
И,
his
может быть,
description.
Прабху,
Thank you.
так, ну,
Maybe
насколько вкратце
Prabhu,
это возможно, потому что, чтобы нам
as
напомнить,
much
и,
as shortly as
какой
possible,
вклад, ну, каждый, мы знаем, что есть 6 основных Госвами Вриндавана,
because we know that we have 6 main Goswamis of Vrindavana, and we sing this bhajan, Krishna Kirtana,
и вот
Gana,
какой вклад
Nartana.
каждый в Госвами он
And
внес
what did
в
each Goswami
миссию Махапрабху?
kind of give to the mission of Mahaprabhu? What was their
Чтобы
impact?
нам напомнить, помнить об
Like
этом.
shortly, just to, for us to have a reminder.
Abhinava.
Quick recap.
Remember the verse today?
No?
Sri Gaurānavatam Sarupadigitam Rupa Drajenda Jitam Rupadhe Parideshitam Guru Raghuganai Asvaditam Sevitam Jiva Dheya Virakshitam. So these are the descriptions that Srila Guru Maharaj is giving. Well, you can say
Perfect. Yeah, you can.
No.
You know the sloka, you know the meaning. Then come on.
You can
You
say
can say. I don't know.
Sloka is not important.
No, you know the meaning of the sloka also.
Anyhow, so we're not going to fight here, but
I'm happy to fight.
we know that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he sent Goswamis with certain mission. So Sanatana Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Jiva Goswami, and there are also other Goswamis who were there. Actually, the first Goswami to arrive to Vrindavan on orders of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was Lokanath Das Goswami. And Bhugarba Goswami, who was a dear friend of Lokanath Das Goswami. And then later, they were joined by Sanatana Rupa Goswami, and then the others. So in that verse, Srila Guru Maharaj, it is from Bhakti Vinod Viraha Dasakam, I believe, composed by Srila Bhakti Rakha Srila Goswami Maharaj. He describes that what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu come to give, all that wealth, was inherited by Sarup Damodar Goswami. It was relished by Sanatana Goswami. And Rupa Goswami relished that and also distributed that grace in the form of his composition, his devotional compositions, his beautiful Sanskrit verses and a series of different books describing the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that was served by and relished and thus even more beautifying and deepened in its meaning and understanding by Srila Raghunath Das Goswami and his Raghu Ganayar, means Raghunath Das Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta, and Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, who was the direct disciple of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. So they relished it and mined the depths of what came from Mahaprabhu. And it was revealed through their service and also to their beautiful, heartfelt prayers that composed. There's so many different verses by Raghunath Das Goswami. I don't know, by some reason, and I believe there were so many verses composed by Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, but perhaps there were incorporated by Srila Jiva Goswami into his books, because sometimes he would collect different compositions from Rup Sanatan, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, and then he put them together, because they were not sometimes writing things that was coming from their heart. And they will write something on a palm leaf and then just leave it, it will be scattered around their bhajan kutir. And then Srila Jiva Goswami, the youngest of them all, would come and collect it very carefully and systemize it and made them into various devotional compositions. And Srila Jiva Goswami and also described as a protector of all that wealth. As we know, Goswamis sometimes were attacked by some pandits, so-called Digvijay pandits. Digvijay means the one who conquered 4 directions. Like he went everywhere and everybody was conquered. So they had these titles, and then they would hear about these wonderful personalities residing in the forests of Vrindavan, completely renounced, nishkinchan, desiring nothing but serving the lotus feet of the Lord and Srimati Radharani. And then he would come to challenge them. And immediately they will say, yes, okay, so where should we sign? Just go away. Yes, you defeated us. Here's our signature. And Rup Sanatan did that. And then somebody said, yes, but you did not get this Jiva. Jiva is very brilliant. And he's their nephew. He's their younger relative and also one of the Goswamis. And then he went to Jiva Goswami and he's showing, just sign it. You don't have to, we don't have to have a debate. Look, your uncle's already signed. Rupa, Sanatan, look, authentic signatures. Now you sign. And then Jiva Goswami said, okay, but let's have a little talk before. And then during that talk, during the course of the talk, he smashed the pride of that Pandit to pieces, to such degree that there was nothing left of his pratishtha. And that was his grace, Jiva Goswami's grace. He completely eliminated all the accumulated pratishtha, all that pride was completely broken and smashed into pieces. Really, nothing was left but to surrender to Jiva Goswami. And to his credit, he did so and became his follower. So he protected the prestige of the Mahaprabhu's line. And that went on. Actually, if we think about Jiva Goswami, we can think of Baladev Vidyabhushan, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and Srila Guru Maharaj, whose very sannyas title was Bhakti Rakak, the protector of devotion, the guardian of devotion. So I'm not sure if I covered them all, but this is coming from that composition, from that verse that Srila Sridhar Maharaj composed. And he concluded, glorifying Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, saying that all that wealth that went through all the Goswamis, starting with Srila Damodar Goswami, came through you in the form of Radha Pada Seva, the worship and unalloyed and complete devotion to the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. So he established the agenda of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Anything you can add?
Well, I mean, the immediate thing is that this composition of Guru Maharaj was composed in the time of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was very happy with this sloka. I don't know if he's at the time when he made the comment that now I know that there is one man who can represent what I came here to give.
He also asked who composed that, because there was no signature, obviously. Sridhar Maharaj never signed it. He's a humble Vaishnava. And then he asked who is the composer, and they say, oh, that was Sridhar Maharaj who composed it. And Srila Saraswati Thakur said, no, he did not compose that. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself composed that, through him. And
But Guru Maharaj also, I think, mentions he has some ulterior motive of wanting to capture the heart of his guru. And he knew that by presenting such glorification of Bhaktivinoda Thakur that he would capture Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's heart, and he did. He captured everything, and he mentions that in another talk that it was his intention to capture everything that he could from Bhaktisiddhanta, everything that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was trying to express into the environment. Guru Maharaj captured all of that. That was his intention, and he was successful in his in that aspiration.
And we can also add that Mahaprabhu, his initial request to the Goswamis was to rediscover the places of Krishna Lila, because Vrindavan was once beautified by Vajranath, the grandson of Krishna. And we hear from ancient records that it was actually a very beautiful town with lots of different temples built with marble and beautiful sandstone. And the deities were beautifully made of marble, gold, silver, decorated with gems. And then during the Mughal invasion, Persian invasion, about 1,000 years ago, Vrindavan was completely destroyed. Practically nothing was left standing. No temples, no nothing. So Mahaprabhu is giving that request. He's asking, please, you go there and you rediscover the places of Krishna Lila. And you beautify those places and make them again the place of pilgrimage, so that the worshippers, devotees can go there and spend some time serving in those places. And also he mentioned specifically to write devotional literature and distribute that. And I have to mention Srila Jiva Goswami as well in that connection, because he was the first a book distribution initiator, you can say. So he collected all the works of Goswamis. He put them in the writing in the form of the palm leaf manuscripts. And then he sent first book distributors, Narottam Das Thakur, Shyamananda, and Srinivasacharya. So I think Govardhan is very happy to hear. So they're the first book distributors. And that also attributed to Srila Jiva Goswami, systemizing the works of the Goswamis and distributing their works, making them available to the devotees in West Bengal, in East Bengal, and also Utkal, the Orissa.
Beautiful.
And so many other things.
Да, ну, это очень здорово. Хоть чуть-чуть, но
Yes,
это
it is very wonderful.
Мы готовы
Even
слушать
a
об
little
этом,
bit
дальше продолжать,
is
но,
necessary. We can continue
к
listening to
сожалению,
this,
время
but
лимитировано, мы не
unfortunately,
хотим больше вас.
time is
У вас
limited.
же плюс,
And
сейчас,
I think
сколько
you
у вас,
have
9
what?
часов вечера,
What is your
да?
time zone? Is it
9
9
p.m.,
p.m.
да?
for you right now? Yes.
It's 8 p.m. here. And as you know, the devotees are gathering for the festival. So as we're meeting with you all, we have a program going on downstairs. And tomorrow we're expecting Srila Madhusudan Maharaj to arrive early in the morning. And from day after tomorrow, the official festival will start. And we will make sure that we will have live broadcast. And also we will maintain the Instagram account with all the updates, the recordings of the happenings here, morning aratics, morning talks, seminars by the devotees, workshops by the devotees, and then evening gatherings. So even though some of you couldn't come, but Suresh Krishna is coming. So he will represent the Latvian Sangha. We're all remembering you, we keep you in our hearts, and we hope that your hearts are with us.
Да, я физически буду с вами уже через...
Yes, I will be with you physically in 2, 3,
9 числа, 9.
on the 9th.
Будет трансляция Инстаграм, да, только Инстаграм?
Are you talking about the Instagram live only? Or
Facebook тоже?
Facebook also?
Well, I'm not an expert, but I'm quite sure it's going to be a Facebook and so many other things, because we're having Indulekha Didi coming from the United States. in a couple of days. So she's an expert, and she will make videos, and Lilamoy Prabhu will be responsible for posting it on Facebooks, Instagrams, and any other available channels.
Окей, да.
Okay,
Хорошо.
yes.
Тогда
Good.
здесь преданные в Латвии, они будут
Then the devotees of
в любом
Latvia,
случае
they will
происходящим.
observe
Как
the
Лаванда
activities.
Деви, и
And as
Раджа
Lavanga
Кришна,
Devi,
Индумати, Ударан
Раджа
Прабhu,
Krishna,
тоже
Indumati,
Латвии.
Udharan
То
Prabhu,
есть
who else
Лавания
is
Деви,
here from
они все
Latvia?
были
Lavanya Devi.
на Говинда
They
Фарме,
were all
прошлых фестивалях,
there at Govinda Farm
и
on
они,
the previous
конечно же,
festivals.
помнят об этом и
And they remember that, of
будут
course.
с нами в сердцах
And
вместе,
they
я
will be
уверен.
with us by heart, I'm sure.
Харе Кришна.
Hare Krishna.
Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai 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 Bhakti Rakshak Siddharth Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai Jai A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai Jai Shri Guru Gauranga Gantharva Govinda Sundar Ji ki Jai Giriraj Govardhan ki Jai Shri Nitai Gauranga Ji ki Jai Jai Guru Parampar ki Jai Guru Varga ki Jai Nama Acharya Shri Thakur ki Jai Shri Goswami Vrindavana ki Jai Tulasi Maharani ki Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Saraswati Charvindi ki Jai Jai Shri Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj ki Jai Jai Sripad Paramananda Prabhu ki Jai Sripad Paramananda Sundar Prabhu ki Jai Jai all the assembled devotees ki Jai Jai Pandita Devi Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai Nitai Gaura Paramananda
Haribo. Dandavad.
Dandavad, Dandavad.
Kirsan Dandavad. Дорогие преданные, в следующее воскресенье мы увидимся. Уже Резекна поедет в
We'll
Таиланд.
see each other next
Харе
week.
Кришна. Уже
But
увидимся
Rezekne
из
will go to
Таиланда.
Thailand. So,
До встречи, Дандават. Ригопал, спасибо за перевод.
Special thanks to Hari Gopal always
Yes.
for his happy translation.
Он справился
And
сегодня.
Didn't mention Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, who joined us a little bit late today. Wonderful to have him, and Dana, our regular attendant. And we're praying that one day we will see Dana in person. This is our prayer. And maybe Krishna will fulfill it one day.
And is Hari Gopal coming to Thailand? Oh.
Dana.
Дандават. Дандават, дорогие преданные.
Jai Shri Bhakti Madhusudan Maharaj ki jai.
Дандават.
No.